Hey guys, this is Kenny Duncan Jr. with the Coin Shop Podcast, inviting you to watch our 50th episode. In this episode, we've got Brett Charville, Ryan Fisher, Rob Oberth, Kevin Sepe, and Justin Altier talking about 2025 predictions and where the market's going and what we're doing in coin shops. You don't want to miss it.
So do you guys, allocate time to really spend with customers and show them lots of different options if they're new to coins or precious metals, or do they pretty much know what they want already when they come in the shop?
I mean, we used to have time to do that. And I would say in this new market, this 2020 and on market we're just filled with all of our employees are basically helping all of the people coming in to sell stuff to us. We've got a new shop that should be opening up here in the summertime. We bought a building next door, and we'll move into basically a 2-story building now that'll be completely ours. And all of the selling will go on downstairs and all of the buying will go on upstairs. And that way we can cater to the buying customer. But right now it's impossible.
Do you kind of feel them out before you show them nice stuff? Like,
Sure.
What are you into? And if they say, oh, I just want to look at Buffalo nickels, you're like, okay. But if they're like, no, I want to see some better slab gold or, any high grade Morgans, then you kind of, take a different approach with them.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Every time.
Yeah.
And most people come in, they have a agenda of what they're trying to do. So it's just working off of that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about you guys. What's going on with you guys? Brett, what's up?
No, everything's good, man.
Oh, come on.
Are you guys finding it harder to buy bullion with the lack of premium on any product? People calling. Me and Kevin just texted. We had the same lady call, and she had a roll of gold eagles. She said, I might possibly want to sell more. And her response to me when I offered my discount, which I didn't think was that much money, was, oh, well, that's kind of steep. I'm going to call around. And she called Kevin, 10 minutes later, and he texted me. And it's like, it's so hard to explain to these people. And how much time do you want to give them on the phone to explain that there is no premium? You can come in our store. I always revert to, well, we have them available at this price. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, okay. And sometimes that helps. But, they still think their stuff is worth 2021 and 2022 numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been using this to sort of explain is, hey, listen, when gold was $2,300 or $2,200, $2,100, we were paying, $20 over. But at $2,900, we're paying a couple percent under, but you're still getting over $2,800 for your ounce of gold. But they don't seem to, they still are fixated. Like, what? You're paying under spot? I'm like, yeah, but you're getting more than you've ever got for your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I took over a shop last year, and former owner, a guy, Clyde Engelhardt, owned the shop for 37 years, and he was just, he had to be the big buyer, and we were, when I took over the shop about a year ago, as an example, we were paying, spot for, like 1 ounce rounds, all silver products, we were still paying spot. And I realized after like a month, like I'm like the last shop in America still, dealers are coming in and dropping stuff off, and I'm like learning all this. And so like maybe like last March or April, we went to spot minus 50 cents an ounce. And that was like just tons of customer retraining, because it was like, I've been coming here for 20 years. Clyde's never paid me less than spot, yada, yada, yada. And you're kind of managing those expectations. We keep the spread the same. We explain it. But now, we're spot minus $1, which I still think is pretty strong. But that move from minus 50 cents to minus $1, nobody's really batted an eye, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like once the levee broke, we retrained some customers and people moved on.
Well, I think also you probably can tell them at that point, like, I'll sell you silver at spot, right? Or really close to it.
I've got silver eagles in the back. How many do you want? In the premium, I mean, depending on what I have in stock, I don't know. You want them at $250 or $3 over today? Because I know what they're worth wholesale. I know they're not here to buy, but it opens their eyes when I show them piles of monster boxes that aren't going anywhere. I said, there is no retail demand for this stuff right now. And I said, today gold's up $40 and you're complaining, but if you come in tomorrow and gold's down 80, you're going to be in a worse spot,
And one thing that we've done is we actually just put them out there with that price. So we'll put gold eagles for sale at X or silver eagles, or we have a spot bin of silver that we throw in there. And it's like, look, you can buy any of this that you want at spot. And it makes it a lot easier to digest $1 back, because I think that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you gotta make money. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
I think it's really about helping them understand the why. You get those calls where it's kind of hard to buy a deal, but they do come back, and it's one of those things where we don't have. I mean, this stuff's just coming in. I cannot stop buying. I can't stop it from coming in, the bullion side, and like Justin said, the demand is down, and just helping them understand, like, hey, this is what we can buy it for wholesale. We're taking on all the risk as far as buying it because you've seen the swings, and the swings are going to get more and more as we go. We can be upside down by noon. So I think for the most part, the people that are pushing back, for the most part, get it. And they're just, trying to squeeze a little bit maybe.
Yeah. Kenny, Matt, do you guys want to introduce the podcast of young coin dealers complaining about what is ultimately a pretty good market hour?
Sure.
Is it a good market though, Brett? I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I literally sent 20s and 10s to my refinery 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I sent a whole bunch to the refiner last week, and I felt so bad putting the bags together of U.S. gold. It feels like a crime. When I sent my employee there, and he's like, "Hey," I said, "No, you can melt those. That's fine, or do whatever you want with them, but they're only worth that, Because the guy working there thinks I'm like screwing up sending numismatics, which I'm not.
Have you guys seen any drop in what the refiners are paying?
On silver, they went further back.
Like what?
Well, I'm talking about one that we all use on 100-ounce bars. They were paying. What were they paying? They were paying like spot minus a quarter up until a couple months ago. Now they're at like $1 back or 95% or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what about gold refining? Like, what about gold refining? I mean, are you guys getting 99%, 99 point in a quarter? Or you guys?
Okay, this is like, I don't mind talking about this stuff, but I mean, this is stuff that like people don't divulge when they're like not on a podcast, Kenny. I mean,
Come on, man. I mean, look, I think this is our 50th podcast. We have to give some. We got to give some juice.
All right.
Here.
We get 99% on gold from our refiner.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what we get.
Yeah. Well, I actually got a little more than that. Not making it. I got not for the 20s, but what I did was I got 0.9925 of the AGW calculated on the US gold, so it wasn't a melt.
You should be getting more on finished product than like true scrap jewelry and
of course,
stuff like that. Like, should definitely be getting more than 99 on that.
Yeah, it wouldn't cross my mind to send a 100-ounce bar to our refiner.
I got videos of me back in the day filling up barrels, literal 50-gallon drums of 90% 100-ounce bars and sterling and stuff like that. And it's getting close to that again today.
But retail buyers have to understand, it has to settle and level at the new level, at the new price. People can't comprehend an ounce of gold as this much money. I think if it stays at this level for a while, I know guys that have been consistent buyers that won't buy at this price. They said it's too high to buy, but people said that at 1900 gold, and when gold crossed 2000, I had people, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm not buying at this price. But if it stays here,
we go really in on a real technical level on percentages and stuff like that. I mean, let's take a step back. I mean, why are we having this conversation right now? I mean, explain it to the people at home. I mean, is it demand is not there, supply is there, demand's not there? I mean, what's your guys' take on kind of the overall broader state of the?
Well, I want to touch on Kevin's comment because I think perspective is huge, and when you're talking to customers, it's sort of like opened up my eyes when I realized this one time, and I think it'll open up their eyes. So if you go back to the 70s, and Granddad was buying gold, and he was at the counter and wasn't sure if he should buy it at 190 or 210 or 250. That's a big spread back then. And for him at the time, it was like difficult to like get himself to buy it like 280, let's say, right? But looking back, that's the same as buying it at 1800 or 2200 or 2800. So I think if you're looking at this as a real long-term play and history happens again, then those will be numbers that are inconsequential over time.
I think my take is that you got to explain to the retail customers that, listen, there's not retail demand. This is all institutional central bank buying, and this is what's driving it. And those numbers are massive. But yeah, the day-to-day guy, it's hard for them to swallow $3,000 for an ounce of gold, right? Whenever not too long ago they were paying $1,500. In that note, are you guys seeing increased buying in fractional?
I've been trying to push half-ounce gold because I think that's a sweet spot. Premiums are pretty low across the board, and $3,000 is tough to swallow for a single item, right? So I don't know. The demand is just not there, though.
Are you guys finding a lot of people coming in of all ages are coming in and selling their bullion and they're all telling me that they're getting into crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, XRF, this or that. They almost all have the same thing, that they've held out. This is as high as they see gold, and they're jumping in. And when people ask me, well, why are the premiums gone? I said, all the wholesalers are loaded up with bullion. There's an endless supply, and the market has gone back into the stock market, and it's all in Bitcoin. And it's like, I personally am not a big crypto guy, but it seems like the vast majority of money has gone there.
Similar to, I'll bring the diamond market into it. Diamonds have collapsed over the years, and you say, well, everyone's kind of going over to lab-grown diamonds. They're buying 5-carat rocks for a couple $1,000s, and they're real diamonds. And you almost see this like look of recognition. That's like, that's what I'm doing. Like, So they realize they're selling their piece and they're converting it to something else, and that's why the supply and demand. And that's the same thing with gold and crypto, I think.
Back to Brett's point, are you guys seeing I think we're about 7 out of 10 sales to purchases on Bullion. And I feel like we're the phone calls for 100-ounce buys or sells both ways have significantly dropped. I feel like my old school customers are holding their product because I've been buying it since, back to, like Rob said, 280, 350, 400. And then you get that next generation that gets it at 700. And they're like, well, I've had it since 700. Right. And I've watched it go to 1200 and then 1500 and then 18 and then literally to the moon. So those guys aren't selling for any reason. They own it because they believe in it. And then, going back to the fractional side of things, and I think we learned this in Berlin, Ryan, it seems that we're not seeing any fractional come in, but there's more of a need for fractional going out because I think that people are that threshold. It's like, man, I just can't go buy an ounce of gold right now. It's expensive. And we're seeing a lot of demand for 0.5 gram, 1 gram, and 5 gram. And the premiums are starting to kind of balance out a little bit. But, are you guys seeing any of that?
I'm seeing it for 1 gram. That's even 5 gram is tough sell for me, but 1 gram and to an equal extent, 10th ounce gold is still somewhere that we're able to sell and charge a premium for because people can afford it. But look, I think at the end of the day, this new price, like Rob was saying, like kind of what we all are alluding to, is this price of gold is going to be the new norm if you consider the inflation that's happened. And back in the early 1980s, or whenever you want to say, gold was $300, $200, I would say that that's probably equal or close to the same amount of spot value that it is today. That's a whole other conversation, but I think apprehension is just, real estate prices, egg prices, gas prices, all sorts of different prices have gone up, and gold has really shown it is the inflation it's the best asset, one of the best assets to have in an inflationary environment because it's kept up and we're all like, oh my god, it's so much. Well, look how much everything else is. That's the tale that's old as time. That's the biggest selling point about gold.
So where do you think it's going?
Protect yourself. That I don't know. One of my employees, James, is really into that, and I'm like, please don't. He's on Whatnot. It's like spouting. I'm like, please, you can't do that under my company name. But some people say these ridiculous. I think 3,000 is obviously at this point not out of the question. A year ago that sounded like kind of far fetched, but how high? I don't know.
Away at the rate we're headed.
Right. I know.
Nearing that.
I know.
It's one trading day away, right? It's one Friday close away.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big breakthrough. Not that it won't correct to 22 or 25 again, but I think 3,000 is a big breakthrough.
But is it really that much money when you think about what $3,000 gets you today? And
no, that's the point.
$1,000 got you in, I don't know what year gold was $1,000, but when I got into the business, the way I got into the business, and this is a true story, I bought a 2006 gold Buffalo because I graduated high school in 2006. A 2006 gold Buffalo from Gainesville Coins online, and it was $682 when I bought it. It was NGC MS70 early release. I still think it's funny that that's what got me into this business. And I was obsessed with the coin, but I remember that was a lot of money in 2006 for me to put out for this single gold Buffalo, and I sold it when gold went to like 850, and I thought I was like the smartest person in the world.
And you probably were.
Yeah, but in 2006, what did $700 get you, and what does $3,000 get you today? A house in 2006 is probably 3 or 4-fold now in South Florida. I don't know everywhere in the country, but me and Kevin talk about this all the time. It's crazy what we could have bought when we were in high school.
Yeah, that's what we always say. Too bad we didn't buy, 4 houses, but we were in.
Too bad I was in college, drinking.
Yeah, too bad I was going to homecoming instead of buying real estate or gold.
That's every generation. Brett, what are you planning on? What is your 2025 plan in terms of the shop, and how are you looking at? And Rob, to you too. You've been around for a long time. What are you guys doing mentally to prepare for what's coming, and how are you kind of predicting what's coming, and how are you, molding your business towards it?
Yeah, I mean, on my end, I bought a shop a year ago, Toledo Coin Exchange in Sylvania, Ohio, and I'm still working on, legacy stuff there. Our inventory software still isn't where it needs to be. We did some remodeling last year. We have a little bit left. From that perspective, I like that, because if we're, slow for a week or busy for a week, it's all just, you're taking it with a grain of salt because you're working on new security cameras or something like that. I mean, we really finished last year very strong overall. I know we look like a bunch of young guys. I'm old enough to not it can't always be amazing all the time, so I have enough perspective that I can say, Q4 was great last year. If Q1 is just like Q1 last year, and which is, good, not great, then life is good. This is like, moving back to Ohio and buying a coin shop. I mean, this is like, I feel like I'm like a farmer. Like I'm just like very happy, like minding my own business, like just like working the land, like
waving at cars down the street.
Yeah.
Rob, what about you?
With me, I think I've been anticipating a wild ride, I guess, a roller coaster ride in the markets for quite some time. And I don't know if it's going to be all at once or if it's just going to be a slow and steady process. But I think, you have to be a chameleon in this business. You have to be able to pivot and go where the demand or the supply is. And I think right now I'm seeing honestly an increase in the bullion buying from, larger purchases. I'm seeing an increase in that, but it's definitely a decline on the smaller purchases. Let's say a few hundred to 10,000 range. We're seeing a lot of fresh coins come in like we haven't seen before. And we're just trying to build out our retail side a little bit better and just try to keep everyone engaged in training and making sure we're on the right course and prepared for I think what I think is coming is probably a significant increase in materials being sold to us, not unlike 08, 9, 10 range.
You think it'll be like the 08, the financial crisis levels?
No, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I'm saying that we're going to see an increase that feels similar to that, but I think it'll be a little bit different. I don't think there's going to be like a major collapse necessarily, but I think that it's going to take a lot of time to recover from this inflation, if we can recover from it at all. And I think it's going to keep snowballing, and we're going to keep printing money.
So a soft landing is sort of what maybe it would be the term, like like not the cliff that happened in 2008, but I feel like we're in that now, a sort of slow, decline, not like what we saw in 2008, but a slower, route down.
The morale may be up a little bit, but I don't think the problems.
Yeah, because of everything with the election, I think morale for some people is higher, and all the executive orders without getting into those specifics, but morale seems temporarily raised. A lot of people in this business are excited, but not everybody is.
Well, we should at least touch on the Fed chair coming out and saying that we are going to monetize the asset side of our balance sheet. That's a very interesting, cryptic comment to make over the next 12 months. And I think you can pretty clearly read between the lines what that means for gold and silver and other assets.
All right, so give me your prediction for gold at the end of this year.
We're talking end of December.
I mean, December 1. What does Rob Oberth, what does Swami say? Let's go.
I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid or anything, but
I can't tell.
I'd say pushing 4-ish.
Wow. You think we're going to just shoot past right through 3?
I think once we break and hold above 3, that I don't see a lot of resistance from 3 to 4. So
now what about silver?
The dirty secret about silver is that a silver quarter was a gallon of gas. I told a lady this morning. It's a gallon of gas. It always was a gallon of gas. It always will be. It's a gallon of milk. It's 2 loaves of bread. So, I mean, it is a direct correlation to inflation, in my opinion, whereas gold, if you go way back, I don't like to say this, but like go back 16 to 1 or 20 to 1, right? Yeah. It's only separated from then, right? Yeah. It was 50 to 1 and then 60 to 1 and 80 to 1. Like what's going to change that generational trajectory? that's separating those two metals apart, right? I mean,
$1,500 gold would change that ratio.
Yeah. Well, I'm still bullish on silver in the sense that I think it is it historically has more opportunities for wild swings. So if you're a younger, more aggressive person, you can potentially play that ratio a little bit, or just diversify and hold a good amount of silver, which I'm going to do, and I do. So I'm not out on silver, but I think it's a good play, right? So I think silver, I've said in the past that silver could go up 25% or 50% where gold ever will. Well, lo and behold, this past year, gold just, 50%, something like that?
Yeah. Justin, you have a new shop. Tell us a little bit about it. Where is it?
It's in Lighthouse Point, which is in Broward. I moved my store exactly 12 miles east. I was as far west as you could go, which is the Everglades, and I'm as far
What
east.
state are you in, Justin? The viewers don't know.
What'd you say? Oh, Florida, South Florida. So anyways, I relocated, opened my store. It's a small coin store, a very small front area with some stuff on display, but we don't really get the collectors like people do in other parts of the country. I built my store more as a buying store. So there is stuff on display. There's bullion, there's currency, but, not really going after the guys coming in to look at wheat pennies and buffalo nickels. I focus on buying. So if you were to ask me what's my ratio of buying to selling, it's got to be like 9 buys for every 1 sell. I mean, it's like lately there is a little bit of bullion coming in, but I mean, there's days where I'll just make purchases and I won't make a single sale over the counter. And I'm okay with that. I like buying. Selling's fine if they want to come in, but I just haven't seen it lately. And Kevin might feel the same way in South Florida. And I know other parts of the country, there's a lot of collectors that go hang out at shops, and South Florida's a different animal, I think.
Kevin, to that point, where are you at? And tell us a little bit about your day-to-day.
Our shop is in Lake Worth. Well, you know what? Let me go back. We're not really a shop. And I'm going to be echoing sort of what Justin said is the South Florida market, or at least the way that I've learned it and I've visited around, is not your classic sort of coin shop environment in general. But anyway, so I'm in Lake Worth, which is in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we're in more of an office setup. We have a front counter area, but we mostly focus on buying as well. And we do a lot of coins, jewelry, watches, diamonds, estate stuff in general. But my favorite thing to do is coins. I mean, I really enjoy all facets of the business, but my favorite thing is looking at coins and looking at fresh deals of coins. It never feels like work in this business. That's for awesome. Me. I mean, you have to do some paperwork occasionally and deal with employees, which is a whole other set of skills. Justin and I were talking about that yesterday, having employees and really, learning the business is one thing. And once you understand how to transact and have knowledge, that's great. But then when you have employees, that's like starting coins over at day one, and really having to stay on top of them is a whole other conversation. But
you got a great Whatnot channel as well. What's your Whatnot handle?
Yeah, it's Tweerys, TWERYS. We're on Whatnot 20 hours a week.
Very consistent.
Yeah, every day, 12 to 4, 5 days a week. And it's been a really big boost for us in the last year. It's not our number one method volume-wise, dollar-wise, but when you have a shop, the amount of stuff that comes in that doesn't really fit into all the other categories, you have to have a good outlet for it. And prior to Whatnot, the only way, there was a couple ways. It was dealing with a dealer who is not, on the low-end material, they're not going to want to pay much for it, which is understandable, or to list individual items on a platform like eBay. But to list a $10 item, to have an employee list a $10 item on eBay is not cost effective. So for shops to have a live stream like Whatnot, have a place for all of that stuff to go is really a big deal. And you're getting exponentially more money for your low end stuff. So that's been a huge thing for us. We don't sell a lot of high end on there. A little bit, you have to sort of tease them because you never know who's watching.
What would you call the high line there, Kevin? You talking over $500, over $5,000?
More, I would say in the 2,000 to, and up. I mean, I've shown, $50,000 coins on there. but nobody bought them. But I've also shown $5,000 coins or paper money on the stream, and not expecting someone to buy it, but you never know. It's kind of like fishing. Here, I'm going to offer this, and maybe there's somebody in the crowd that, and then they wind up being a very big customer. So that happens too. But it's really been the shop stuff the albums of, incomplete wheat cent albums, incomplete Buffalo nickel. You guys know the stuff that you don't want to look at, you don't want to touch, you have no time. But when you have lots of it, it's a huge untapped sort of well of value there was no efficient way to sell it before. Now there is.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. And for the collectors too, there's not a big place to go. I mean, the live streaming platforms that you can get on and sell different coin deals that come in the store. A lot of collectors didn't have that before, to be able to get on, buy some of those items for $10, $15 without overpaying, or paying way too much. So to them, it's just something fun for them to really get engaged and bid on items that, it's $30, but it's super cool. It's from, Confederate bill, or it's a token or something that they would have never bought before.
I have guys in the stream that are there every day for the entire show, and they probably spend an average of $300 to $500 a day. Wow. But they are engaged and they're having a blast. They're buying $8, full Liberty Indian cents, 1907 full Liberty Indian. There was no way of selling that, but those were really cool items for collectors, and they're sitting on their couch swiping, and they're having a blast. It's something for them to do.
So you're pretty much still serving the people buying Buffalo nickels and Indian cents. You're just doing it streaming.
On our term, we're not, there's nobody standing at the counter. Oh, you want to look through our bucket? No, here's what it is. You have 20 seconds,
Right. We'll move you have multiple people trying to buy it.
Sudden death. Let's go.
I tried whatnot. Kevin talked me into it. And I tried it not in 24 and 23 in December. And it was great. And it's good, like for what Kevin said, blowing out the low end stuff that you don't want to take the time to take photos and list on eBay. But for me, I was shorthanded and I was doing it after work. So I was doing it from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. And it was great, but it took 4 hours of my energy. And then the next morning I had 100 packages to ship.
Right.
So for Kevin, the way he has it, it's really good. He's got James that's his dedicated gig on Whatnot. But like right now, I don't have the extra help to do it. And it's a production. You got to, like Kevin will tell you, you got to be prepared the days before to have all the stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
And building the engagement ahead of time to get the right audience to your stuff. If not, the stuff will sell too cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah. Branded shows. And that's a big deal.
Rob, what do you do for liquidity on stuff like that?
Similar. I think we're getting into, we did Whatnot for quite a while. We kind of paused because of the holidays and things like that. We're doing a little eBay Live, but it just builds up. We wholesale a lot of it. We sell to local collectors in bulk, other dealers. There is an opportunity cost there that I think needs to be calculated as well. But it is what a fantastic innovation for sure to have an auction right at your phone and be able to move stuff so fast.
What was the biggest gripe for eBay, right? Is having to take 25 pictures of a Buffalo nickel. It's like, dude, this doesn't make any sense. Or an album, right? If you've got a pretty, like you said, a Lincoln Cent album that you need to take a multitude of pictures of, instead you run it for 20 seconds and you'd show everything you can show, and you get that FOMO. The customer's like, I would have probably paid $8, but I'll pay 12 here, right? Just because I'm bidding against somebody. So we found some success with it, but it definitely has its hurdles. And it seems like to scale it is just, you're going to have, anyway, for us, it's, I think I'm kind of with Rob on it. I'm a little split down the middle, but I definitely see its value. What about you, Brett?
I would imagine probably one of the busier foot traffic on the sell side coin shops in the country. We have a bunch of, bar stools around our corner, around like the corners of our counters. And we have, 4 or 5 retirees sitting in there, going through 90%, going through the Buffalo nickels, going through the Indian head cents.
A real coin shop.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that's actually how I describe it to people, is like, if somebody's never been to a coin shop, I'm like, close your eyes and imagine like a real coin shop. Like that's, really what it is. I mean, Friday mornings especially, it's like, I don't know, like an episode of Cheers. Everybody's really great and friendly. And I think the vast majority of our customers recognize that that makes it special. You know, the other area places you can't go. They don't have the staff to do it, you know, to let somebody sit there and look at 90% for an hour and buy $80 worth of stuff or $500 worth of stuff. So, I mean, but we still do, you know, we still do buy more of that stuff than we sell. So a lot of it, you know, we don't do whatnot or anything. I think to your guys' point, you know, if the perfect person came along that I think could handle our whatnot, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's just a matter of, to Justin's point, I'm not going to do it from 6 to 10 p.m. myself. And I don't at this time have an employee that isn't busy 40 hours a week already. But yeah, so we're pretty fortunate. You know, you guys were kind of talking about buy and sell ratios. It's kind of interesting. You know, we're about 30 transactions each way every day is about our average. So about 30 buys and 30 sells, but our buys, you know, as a dollar value, you know, can be exceedingly higher, you know, 5-to-1, 6-to-1 ratio in terms of, you might write 30 checks for $200,000 and have 30 sells for 40,000, you know, or something like that. Because, you know, we get a lot of people that come in, you know, we have the Treya, you know, silver rounds. We have a lot of regulars that come in and buy 2-3 ounces of silver off the tray a week, just like clockwork. And they're in for 2 minutes and they're, you know, they're nice. They're great people. And I mean, I love it from that perspective. Yeah.
What's the sales tax law? Just out of curiosity, because that's a big hang up in my shop.
There is none in Ohio. Yeah.
Do you have a website, Brett?
We have a website, ToledoCoin.com, you know, trying to get people there so they can see that we have a coin shop because there's nothing for sale on it.
You need a delayed live stream, right? So you need to show all the bar stools full, right? And just like, hey, we're dealing over here. Let's go.
And I'm not at the shop right now because it's like guarantee whenever I tell somebody, oh, you know, come to the shop, it's always busy. It'll be like the most cricketiest, you know, day you've ever seen. So I'm literally not there right now because I was nervous that the view behind me would just be, we got a big storm overnight. Everybody's snowed in.
Question for the Duncans. How have sales been on like your low tier to mid tier to high tier, like numismatic coins for collectors, like your 5 to 10,000 coin range?
That's actually been more of our sweet spot in the store. And a lot of the collectors that are some of the bullion buyers too, that kind of crossed over from buying, like you said, gold and some of the metals, and they've kind of taken a little profits and getting into coins and starting to kind of learn about that side, along with the cards and the paper money have been pretty popular in the store.
Yeah, 5 to 10K range is a sweet spot right now for us.
Definitely a sweet spot.
That's the stuff you buck and go on whatnot, guys.
No, we're not for us. But we love it. I mean, and I think Matt's point's perfect. You guys that come in that would normally buy gold, they're like, hey, what else? What's in the $5,000 range that's cool in coins?
Right.
And teach me a little bit about it and give me a downside. So one thing we do in our store, I've said it before here, we give a 10% buyback on pretty much everything we sell in numismatics to, you know, early customers, new customers, good customers. It's not every coin. Obviously we can't do it. I mean, definitely nothing bullion based.
How long's the buyback good for?
1 year.
Okay.
I would go out on a limb to say you probably don't buy back very often.
Well, we sell such great coins. I mean, it's
right.
Again, it's kind of loaded on our end because the coins that we sell, I mean, generally they're PC or NGC CAC or CACG coins that we just know that we're going to be okay buying back. So that's a good way for us to get people to kind of dip their toe in the water. And I think this market's great because in Houston, I mean, the economy's thriving. People are doing great. Housing's up. I mean, people seem pretty bullish about, you know, what the trajectory of the country looks like optically. So people are starting to spend money. I would say last year, man, it was tough to sell anything in the $5,000 to $10,000 range, and our, you know, plus $25,000 inventory. I just stopped really stocking it. I might have 4 or 5 coins in the shop that were available that were not bought just to maybe wholesale or trade wholesale, but to really put out and try to, you know, build a story around and try to find a specific customer for. I'd say online selling for us is okay, getting there. I mean, the $500 to $2,500 stuff seems to go pretty quick if it's nice.
Yeah, nice
junk is still junk. We're not getting good prices for junk. It's just we have. I think that's our biggest issue right now is like trying to find the right people to allocate time to sell junk.
Right.
And we tried the whatnot stuff. We're just not consistent enough to really build a base on it. To be honest with you, we've got some flaws on that side of it. I always seem to find better things for those people to do. It just gets to be where we look into a closet and there's just a pile of crap in there. And you're like, dude, we need 2 or 3 coin companies to come in and buy all this junk. I don't want to look at it again. Right. So
yeah, the consensus on Whatnot really seems to be you can't do it one leg in.
No, it's impossible.
You really got to, commit to it.
Listen, Kevin's one of my favorite guys, honestly, just for that reason. Like you gotta have a guy who's perfect. So we hired a guy to do it, and no knock to him, but I just didn't feel like it was being representative of what we are as a company. And I just don't want to do things just because everyone else is doing them the way that everyone else is doing them. But the way that they're doing it is working, right? And the way that we were doing it was not working.
Right.
And I couldn't stomach it, to be honest with you. I have to plug my ears when they're on Whatnot. I'm like, I just can't listen to it because it's
same. No. That's
corny
kind of what
as
I
hell,
was alluding
right?
to.
Hey, Chad, let's come on, Chad. This coin's nice, Chad. I'm like, oh God, get me out of here, man.
No. I'm with you. It's very cringe at times, but that's just what it is. It's its own separate entity, and
I get it.
There's rules. There's lines you cannot cross. There's things. There's guys flat out just totally ripping people off on that platform. Yeah. I mean, there's people that's their entire business model is selling on there. So they have to buy from dealers at dealers' asks and then try to make something while paying Whatnot a fee. But when you have a shop, you're buying it over the counter. It's junk. You want to get rid of it. You're getting it. No, you're not getting the last dollar, but it's still, at least you're reaching an end user. But yeah, that's another thing, Kenny, is with the employees on a live microphone broadcasting to whoever is around with no filter, no delay. I mean, there's a lot of cringe moments when you actually care about your reputation. And then, there's Reddit articles out there that are unsavory because it's just exposure. It's a lot more exposure to people.
And to Brett's point, and Brett, yeah, you're right. You can't do it one leg in. It seems like you have to have, I think you even said it best, and I'm the same way. If the perfect guy came along, if I went to a coin club meeting or a local coin show and a kid approached me and said, hey, I've got this many hours on Whatnot, I've sold this amount of, I've done this in revenue, et cetera. Can I come in and do a 5 to 8% profit split above and beyond what you want wholesale? I would probably listen. But in terms of grooming somebody in-house, it just seems to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think a dream scenario for me on Whatnot would be there's a local vest pocket guy that's really good at it, and then I'm just giving him stuff on consignment, or something, along those lines would be.
And even then, you probably have to get ready for that 60 to 90 days of pain, right? Building that audience, watching things go too cheap.
Yeah. Well, that still happens. And, something that Seth Chandler says that he said to me, and it's so true, is a third goes for too little, a third goes for too much, and a third goes for what it's worth. And it's really true. He coined that term, and it's 1,000,000% true. Some days things go for way less.
The consignment director coined that term, but no.
Okay.
I'm sure it's stolen
anywhere. That's what you're going to say, right?
Let's make this a pitch. If you're an hour from Toledo, you're an hour from Miami, you're an hour from Houston, an hour from Atlanta, and you guys want to, and you're smart with coins, give us a call.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, that's a good point. eBay 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I was talking to John Feigenbaum about it, and he said, I was complaining to him that, we thought we sold some Bitcoin on eBay and it got returned or something like that. And, his advice was, you should only do eBay if, as the owner of the business, it's almost just like a spreadsheet to you. Like returns are a pain in the butt. But if you're just looking at a spreadsheet that's like, we sold 800 items and last month we had 20 returns and this month we had 22 and whatever, then you're not, thinking about things on an individual granular level. I think almost anything that's a buck and go, whether it's Whatnot or Great Collections or Heritage, you're always going to have some basket of, this brought, I thought this, should have brought a little more. This was amazing.
On that, I've been running a lot of eBay auctions recently. Since I'm not doing Whatnot, I told myself when I open the store, you have to do something to get rid of this junk laying around, all the modern graded stuff, just sitting around, piles of it. So I started getting back on eBay in December and consistently every day getting items up. And I had the first eBay person reach out and he goes, hey, I bought this. If you want to cancel it, I know I bought it too cheap. And I said, no, bro, it's yours. Keep it. And it wasn't a big difference. He bought it for half the price it was worth. He bought it for 50. It's worth 100. But like, I don't care. Like it was fair play. Like I put it up at 99 cents. Whatever it goes for, it goes for. And that happened on Whatnot when I did Whatnot. I did a currency night. I didn't have any followers that were for currency. And I thought they're just going to show up in the chat. I was giving away Black Eagles and wood choppers. And I had a couple people say, hey, and they were very supportive on Whatnot. The community there is very good. And they said, hey, man, I feel bad. You know, your stuff is selling too cheap. I said, you know what? I'm a big boy. I ran these auctions. You take it. Enjoy the stuff. I'm not going to take it back. But that's why I realized Whatnot was hard, because you really do have to build a following. And you have to be consistent. And Kevin does it 5 days a week. I mean, the people know they can log into Whatnot, and Queries is on there for 4 hours a day or something.
Yeah.
Rob, where are you at?
Oh, Marietta, Georgia. So I'm about 6 miles from where the money show is coming here in next week, 2 weeks, just north of Atlanta.
Like name? Can you?
Oh, my shop, Golden Coin Exchange, Marietta, Georgia, full service coin shop. We got a line out there too. It's like about 6 deep right now. It's crazy. Yeah, we stay busy on the buy side for sure.
What kind of ads are you running right now?
We do a couple of billboards, tons of Google, some Facebook. We do. I don't know if you've seen our YouTube channel yet, Golden Coin Exchange TV. We do a lot of goofy skits and stuff like that.
The skits are really good.
Oh, thank you.
They pop up on my Explorer page, and I follow you guys, and they're like really well filmed and choreographed little skits. And I'm actually surprised that you guys don't have more of a following on them, because they're so good.
Yeah, I think we just started like a year ago, and we got 16,000 subs, so it's not bad.
That's a big number. That's a lot.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, they're smoking. That's on YouTube, Golden Coin Exchange TV.
I see them on Instagram.
We cross to TikTok and Instagram and Facebook.
Shit, 16,000 subs that's a big number in the coin business.
Yeah, they killed it. Well, you know what it was? It was my they're kicking ass and taking names over there, and they're fully dedicated to what they're doing. But we had about 7,000 just from a video where I was destroying a Crew Grand.
Yeah, I watched that. How do you feel about your billboards? I mean, is it hard to? We get pitched that a lot. There's a lot of digital billboards here in Toledo, and it's intriguing to me. I certainly see them when I drive by them, but it just feels like it would be frustrating to get a true feel for the value there. I mean, you're kind of taking a shot, you think? What's your take?
Yeah, they're not cheap, and I do have one on the interstate. This is an interesting business, so it's not like we can make a pretty decent clip on like a deal, because we deal in not large numbers and make small percentages, but to cover a billboard isn't terribly expensive. Now, I couldn't tell you the metrics of it as far as what we're doing, but we do one digital and then one on the highway right at our exit out here. So,
do you mind sharing what the one off the exit cost you a month?
I want to say it's $3,500 a month.
Wow. That's reasonable, man.
So just for your info, Brett, I'm the same way. Like, so we bought an exit only billboard here in Houston, and I paid many multiples of that.
Sure, yeah.
And 6-month contract, the whole 9 yards. And I did it before for about half price. And I felt like they really worked. I felt like people were like, hey, I saw your billboard. I went to the website. I've always wondered what this building was. And then we came in. So it's like a multi-layer process. And that's what we found that works best on our advertising is the layering, right? This last one that we did exit only, I mean, it was freaking crickets.
Yeah, we
spent 6 figures on it. And I'm telling you, you want to talk about metrics, because that's just really what, like, our legacy system that we built is just literally spits it out almost to the penny, what we get on customer acquisition and what we get per customer.
Right.
And I am telling you, this thing was the biggest mistake. And it was my call. I made it. It was a horrible decision. But I do wonder if cheaper $2,500 and $3,500 billboards outside of the city in more rural areas like the Woodlands or Champions or Katy would help just at least let people know where we are if they do have a coin collection. So I still don't think the billboard side of this dead, but I think spending crazy money on an exit to me wasn't fruitful.
Well, I think truly, honestly, it's like someone said this to me one time. We've never lived in a world where you can put a billboard in somebody's hand for free, right? And I'm not saying it's free, but you can post and you can post. You can take a couple minutes, post every day. You guys are good at that. A lot of dealers are good at that, posting every day just to build that recognition and that brand. And you can sponsor it for a small amount of money. So billboards, they might be obsolete. I think if you're going to focus on indirect marketing, that would be your first step. Should be digital: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
A big thing too, I think, I haven't been to your guys' shops, but I think you guys all have freestanding buildings except Justin and I, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Justin and I are in a strip mall. So there is no road visibility. And I think road visibility is almost like having a billboard itself.
Right.
Because everybody's driving by every day. And that's something I've toyed with is we've considered relocating, but our business has been successful, so we don't want to at this point. But like imagine this, it's free it's in a sense free advertising, having your shop sign on the road. I mean, the amount of cars that drive by.
If I meet somebody in Houston and they ask where I work, I mean, this has been for almost 20 years now. This year will be 20 years. And I'll ask them, do you know the building on I-10 that says U.S. Coins? Oh, yeah, I know that building.
Right.
99% of the people have seen the building and know, I've seen it 100 times. And maybe they haven't stopped in because they're not coin collectors, but they remember it.
Well, keep in mind also, guys, that we're not a McDonald's. We're not like a convenience stop. We're a destination spot where people are seeking us out. So as long as you have good visibility on the internet, I would say most of your customers are going to come from somebody that was looking for you and willing to drive 30, 50 miles just to see you because you've got good reviews and
Yeah, it's all about that. And advertising on Google Ads is my best thing. And reputation, reviews, when they read my reviews, a lot of times they mention me. And they'll call and they go, is Justin there? And I think they know me. They don't. They read the reviews and they want to talk to me, which makes it difficult because when you have an employee or employees, sometimes you want them to deal with the people, but you want to make the people comfortable. And if they want to deal with me, I've just gotten used to it. I mean, there might be 3 people in there and I'll try and deal with all 3 of them.
First thing I did when I got to Toledo Coin Exchange, I just hired a guy named Brett. It's all I know this is something we brought up Seth Chandler before. He had talked about this, that he is a very firm belief. Seth has, one of the great coin shops in the country in San Francisco in a very high rent area. And he is, firmly convinced that the majority of his customers are hyper local, where for our precious metals license, we have to record driver's license information for everybody we purchase from. And, where we are at geographically, it's interesting because, our average, we routinely get people 30, 40, 50 miles away every day. Where, the guys on here in Florida, they would have to drive by
13 shops.
Yeah, 10 other places, to get to you. Where we almost kind of have a natural moat in that once you get out of Toledo, it's just a lot of farmland. It adds up to total number of people, but Defiance, Ohio, Fostoria, Ohio, all these little towns by us aren't big enough really to sustain a coin shop. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. It makes it makes maybe a billboard a little less appealing for us if, our people are, coming from such a broad area.
I feel like since we deal in not just rare coins, but watches and cards and some of the different collectibles we do, we're definitely getting in more of a crowd coming in for each of those items, but maybe starting to kind of get into each of the collectibles and kind of bridging through. Because, I know the watch market lately, it's been, a lot of the watches have come down. You have a lot of watches and collectors that are looking at them now because, they were half the price and to them, they look like great deals because they're either under MSRP or they're a little over. But I feel like, those collectors come in and then they kind of get into bullion or get into the rare coins.
Yeah. Great point. This is like, almost like a hyper, micro example of that. We started selling way more $500 and $1,000 bills at the shop once we put them next to the gold eagles.
Right.
Yep.
Because they're the same price right now. And somebody is coming in buying a couple gold eagles a week and they say, oh my gosh, $1,000 bill for $2,850 or whatever it is. Like, that's just one less ounce of gold this week. And I have this that is going to be, a lot more of a conversation starter, but I would imagine
my buddies and
with other collectibles or something like that. Next, gold eagles are next to the watches that are next to the sports cards, etc. But I think pairing stuff up, by price point is something that I didn't, anticipate would be as successful as it was.
Yeah, casement placement is huge on stuff like that. We've learned that a long time ago. It's all real estate. Your shop's real estate. When people are going to go, they're going to look at the bullion case first. right? 9 times out of 10, they're coming in, they're looking for bullion.
Right.
They're going to look in that silver case, and you've got to have some of your other things in there with special pricing on it, just so they can. I believe you have to put a price on it because it allows them to make a decision without asking you.
Right.
Because if you force them to ask you, they're probably not going to ask you what the price is, because I think Rob and I talked about this at the last seminar. They don't want to ask you because they don't want to say no, or they don't want to act like they can't afford it.
Right.
But if you put, $1,000 bill there, that's $3,000, and they're like, damn, that's a nice one. It's a 45. It looks unk. You know what, shit, I'm going to buy that. Like Brett said, it's just one less one gold eagle. I've got 42 of them, right? It's not going to hurt the pocketbook so much. That's a good point. And I think that's how you grow those guys. Cause he's like, so what else did they make that's cool like this? What else is there a set I can put together?
I definitely get many more wows from people when they look at the case that has a bunch of currency in it. Cause they're like, oh my, when did they make this stuff? It's so cool. It's so pretty. It's so big. And the whole case of Eagles and Buffaloes and Crew Grands and Maples, they just kind of go right over. And, the currency kind of, it looks very U.S., America. It looks cool. It looks historic.
I'm a coin guy through and through, but the comparative value of some banknotes from 100 years ago. I mean, $500 and $1,000 bills have doubled in price in 10 years, and they still don't seem that expensive, compared to, the rarity and the cool factor.
I agree. Yeah. Every time you show it to someone, they're like, whoa, I didn't even, and it's funny to see the millennials, because, our age guys are like, oh yeah, my grandpa had one. I saw one, but you show it to a millennial and they're like,
right.
They have no idea this has even existed.
Well, too, the populations are a lot less because it's paper, right? So, that makes paper definitely a lot more collectible for some guys, because they see how many are out there, how many are certified, and they're like, wow, it's not a lot of them out there or finer. So,
hey, listen, I appreciate everyone's time. You guys have dedicated an hour to this, and I think that's pretty awesome. So I appreciate it. You got any closing remarks here? Any last minute pitches? Toledo coin.
Just Toledo coin. No, thanks for having me, guys. This has been great. Anytime. Good to see you guys too. Good to see everybody else.
Yeah, likewise. Kevin?
Honor to share the camera with this group.
Wow.
Queries on Whatnot, the most consistent thing in town.
Queries on Whatnot. If you are above the Palm Beach County line, come see us. Come sell us stuff. If you are below Boca Raton, go see Justin.
I'll deal with Miami, even though the problem is I can't speak Spanish.
Robbie O?
Golden Coin Exchange TV, goldencoinexchange.com.
Altier Rare Coins, Lighthouse Point, Florida. Instagram, it's at Rare Coins. I'll try and update more, post more. But find me
What
there.
a great handle, at Rare Coins.
Is that for sale?
No.
Ryan, you plug in?
Dude, what am I going to plug? Space Cowboy? You guys
Let's
get to
do it.
Barcelona. You want to go to a nice bar. Space Cowboy, BCN. Come see me.
And one last thing. I'm about, 6 miles up 41 from the National Money Show this year in about 2 weeks. So
that's, dealers, collectors, retail. Yeah, I mean, stop in and see Rob. Why not?
For sure.
And check out U.S. Coins.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, we appreciate everybody's time very much.